our creed to break the chains and set us free. Riders on the prairie, wild and free, bows and arrows, cold 45's decree. No more tyranny, no more lies, under open skies we rise. Fight, fight, fight till we reclaim the night. Cowboys and Indians in the blazing light. Fight, fight, fight till the dawn is near. We'll never live in fear. On the blood moon, we all unite. Horse hooves thunder in the night. No longer slaves to the empire's might. Strength in numbers, strength in right. On the blood moon, we unite. Horse hooves thunder in the night.
Welcome, everybody, to the Cowboys and Indians podcast. Today, it is just the Indian. No cowboy. He is out and about doing business things or family things. You know, I'm actually not exactly sure what he is doing. But I feel like I really had to go live today because, well, for one, it's Monday. We always go live. But for two, the sentiments that have been coming across social media for the past couple of days are incredibly disturbing. And I kind of wanted to have a conversation with you guys today about what we're supposed to do. Obviously, last week, America suffered a tragedy where Charlie Kirk was assassinated during a live debate with college students in Utah. And for some reason, the left has felt incredibly emboldened to revel in his death, to celebrate it as if this was a win against fascism. And I've really been trying to understand this mindset for many years now. I mean, one of the first posts that I ever put out on X, or Twitter, I guess it was called back then, was the concern about how I would be painted in the media if any of my posts ever went viral. And it was in March of 2023. And I've realized that a lot of the time that I've spent on social media is trying to convey the humanity of the right-wing or conservative side to people who are maybe uninitiated into the political sphere, or who are default liberals by nature, or have been raised in a socially liberal area. Because I had an experience with my wife where we met in 2016. And she grew up in an area that was socially liberal, the Issaquah area, right outside of Seattle. And she was surprised to meet a Trump supporter. I mean, it wasn't the first night we met, but it was one of the first nights we met, where I think it was Hillary and Trump debating. And she was like, "You're a Trump supporter?" And she was almost taken aback, because all she had heard about Trump supporters is that they were mean, nasty, racist, white supremacists. They're not normal people. And that dehumanization started back then. Fast forward 9 years, almost 10, and all of a sudden, we now have the dehumanization to the point where they're now celebrating an assassination, not of a political figure. I mean, he was a cultural icon. He was potentially a future president, but he is not directly involved in our politics in the way that you would imagine these political assassinations would come about, right? Like when the assassination attempt on Trump happened, it was shocking, but everybody kind of expected it to some extent, with how much they hated him, with how much the world hated Trump. The Charlie Kirk assassination came out of nowhere. I don't think anybody really expected it, because Charlie Kirk was a middle of the road. His entire platform was built on debate on the First Amendment, the very First Amendment of these United States, or what used to be United States. That's what he built his platform on. Respectful, open dialogue. And to see people jump on the opportunity to smear his character, to justify the assassination, to feel as if they're not the bad guys, as if they're not part of the massive problem we have in this country, the division, because it's been so easy for the media to paint Donald Trump as the divisive one. Not your reaction to him, not the reactions to this assassination. No, it is Trump being divisive. He is the one causing all of our problems, and all we have to do is solve that issue. And unfortunately, it feels like it's time to put our foot down. It feels like it's time to stop playing footsie with these people and actually start enforcing the laws against people who incite violence, and deplatforming people like Destiny, who is now openly called for violence against conservatives. I don't know. I'm sure that most of you guys saw this clip of Destiny calling for violence. But I'm going to show it to you anyway. And I want you guys to understand the hatred these people have in their hearts for you. The hatred people have in their hearts for the nuclear family, for marriage, for procreating, for having children, for living the American dream, for promoting the American dream in any way. They do not like it. They want it destroyed. And they will dance on your grave, prove to everybody just how virtuous they are in taking this gigantic empire, evil fascist society down, and all of their supporters, because apparently that's what we are. The right are all of the fascists, the ones who are out there getting rid of the garbage, getting rid of, or like me, I've been called a fascist more times than I can count. I've been called a Nazi more times than I can count. A white supremacist, and many, many other names. An apple, a race traitor, a disgrace to my ancestors, a supporter of the colonizers. Many, many names I've been called. I've had death threats. I've been doxxed online. They tried swatting my house. And most of the time, I didn't take these threats seriously. But now I think it's time to really buckle down and understand that these people hate you. So let me share this clip with you guys.
Statistics? Not exactly like
You need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events, so that they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature. The issue is right now, they don't feel like there's any fear. Like, I don't know. It's like memes. It's just memes to everybody, I guess. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't care. I'm playing video games. Okay, I'm done today.
So this is what you would call someone captured by their own audience. A very, very weak man. And I know he doesn't represent the entirety of the left, but he represents the subculture that has now become popular enough to create a real and present danger to our society, to our dialogue, to the way that we communicate with each other from other sides of the political aisle. Destiny is a notorious cuck who allowed his wife to be taken by other men, to which his life completely fell apart, and it almost seems like he is to the point where he wants to burn down his own life, that he is deliberately destroying everything in his own life and pushing the envelope as far as he can, because that is the only sense of power that he can feel. When weak men like this become popular, it oozes out of them. It really does. And it's really unfortunate to see just how much they really hate you. And the fact that they try to claim that we're the ones turning up the rhetoric, that we're the ones inciting violence, that we're the ones who have been creating this kind of harm over the years, right? And you see it even with, I don't know if you guys know who Senator Scott Wiener is, but he had the notorious laptop that had some questionable things on it, we'll say. But he tries to play this middle road. He says Charlie Kirk did not deserve to die. Also, Charlie Kirk was a vile bigot who did immeasurable harm to so many people by normalizing dehumanization. Yes, having debates on college campuses is a good thing, but dehumanizing people and persuading others to do so is horrific. I don't know how the left doesn't see the irony of something like this, because he is dehumanizing Charlie Kirk in order to justify the assassination of him. Nothing about this post right here is honorable. He is playing the victim while incentivizing violence and justifying it. There's this harm that they bring up where he says also Charlie Kirk did immeasurable harm to so many people by normalizing dehumanization. This idea, this nebulous idea of all of this harm being done. It's the same thing that they say when they took away all of the Native American logos or the minority logos, right? They're saying that the racist stereotypes of the Redskins logo is creating immeasurable harm to the Native American community. Or the fact that Mia on the Land O'Lakes of Butter, she's creating immeasurable harm to all the minorities and bringing up the trauma of the racism that was done by this very country. They always have, they can never actually give you examples or name anything that they did. They will just bring up this idea that there's something out there in the ether that they caused all of this harm. We don't know any of the victims, and we don't know the actions in which he took to actually do it. We can't give you any examples of it, but that harm was done. And so the assassination is justified because of that nebulous reason that I just gave you. So it's good to dehumanize Charlie Kirk because he was dehumanizing everybody else. It is the same playbook over and over and over again. And I have been really trying to figure out how to wake the people up who can be woken up from this. And it's extremely difficult to walk that line because my goodwill for people celebrating in Charlie Kirk's assassination is now gone. How am I supposed to try and reach across the aisle when they assassinated the only person reaching across the aisle? Or, you know, he wasn't the only person, but he was the biggest figure in our culture that was having a substantial effect in reaching the youth. He went up against every college in this country. He built a company from the ground up to fight against the indoctrination of all these teachers now reveling in his death. And he had a substantial impact. And everywhere he went, he proclaimed that Jesus Christ was his Lord and Savior. And he was turning our youth back to Christ. He was bringing our nation back to Christ, which I believe is desperately needed in these times. Jordan says, I'm over these hypocrites and honestly want nothing to do with leftists aside from family. And that's, I mean, even family members. You know, I had a party this weekend for my son's 3rd birthday party, and even the family members I have that lean left were shocked and appalled by what was going on. And I had to kind of revisit the idea that, you know, when my wife and I were targeted for swatting and we were doxxed online, that if you want to share your conservative opinions online, your life is in danger. And the kind of threats, the rhetoric, the dehumanization of conservatives that has been going on for a long time, we can't take that as, we can't give them the benefit of the doubt anymore, because now it's been kicked up a notch. And I mean, you can even see Eddie, the co-creator of the Patriots Prayer Network. He shared a post today, and it is one of the most heartbreaking things that I've seen. As you know, last week, Erica Kirk even in her state, she was able to speak for, I think it was 17 minutes or so. And they're openly mocking her. And I don't even know if I want to play this, but I mean, the mental gymnastics that these people have to do in order to believe that someone like Charlie Kirk is a fascist is astonishing to me.
Was my husband. And I loved him.
And you guys should make this lady famous, by the way. Or infamous, rather. Because this shouldn't be tolerated anymore. I mean, she's literally mocking a grieving widow. Not even a week, her husband been assassinated, and she's literally coming out and mocking them. It's crazy. They don't see us as people. They don't see us as equals. To them, we are less. We are unequal. We are, I mean, they've called us maggots for years, right? They've been dehumanizing conservatives for so long that now it is socially acceptable to the left to openly mock the grieving widow, the children, to wish the worst for them, and the death of Charlie Kirk himself.
And he loved me almost as much as he loved America. And I want to thank all of the brave, heroic first responders who responded heroically. These evildoers have no idea what they've done. They have unleashed a battle cry. This widow, the tears of this widow are a battle cry across the whole world and this country. And we will convert everyone to Jesus through thinly veiled threats and possibly violence and threats of violence. My husband, he loved this office. He was in here every day. He loved what he did. He loved it. He loved chair. He loved chair.
So I wouldn't go as far to say that woman right there is overtly evil. She seems more like one of the useful idiots for the people out there, because there's a lot of people that will do anything for views on TikTok and conform all of their beliefs to whatever they think will get clicks and views and shock content. But one thing I think they need to realize is that they've definitely gone too far, and that all of these useful idiots, they have to have consequences. They have to be deplatformed. They have to be removed from our public sphere of influence online. I don't see how we can unify with people like this. I don't see how I don't see how we move forward as a country knowing that these people not only want us dead, but justify the assassination by basically saying that since we didn't do what they want, that all of what they do, that their reaction to it is justified. It blows my mind how unbelievably dark this has become in just a week. I mean, you see the stabbing on the train, and that was shocking and horrifying to watch. And then just 2 days later, man, it's something more horrifying. And I don't know if we're supposed to see that, but I don't really encourage any of my family to go and watch that. But unless they don't literally don't understand the level of threat that conservatives have been under for a long time. And for the most part, it's been rhetoric. But now we see that rhetoric come. I mean, now we see the ramifications of all of that programming. And it is sudden and it is shocking to a lot of people to see the reaction. But for conservative influencers in general, I mean, I find it shocking a little bit, but it's almost to be expected as to how people have reacted to this. And it is just a continuation of what they've been saying for years and years. They really don't care about your life, and they will paint you in the worst light possible to justify the actions. I mean, look at the George Floyd riots back in 2020, where we had over 100 straight days, and our politicians were calling for people to get into the streets and rise up, and they never once mentioned the fact that the people being targeted, the communities being targeted in these riots, were impoverished communities. I mean, Black Lives Matter went out there and destroyed black-owned businesses to make a point against fascism. Whatever they can do to justify the violence, the destruction, the billions of dollars of damage, the dozens dead from their rioting back in 2020. They'll come out and say that COVID doesn't spread for social justice riots. They'll come out and say that they had no other choice, that the voice of the unheard, it needed to be heard, and this is the only way that they can speak out and fight against fascism because Donald Trump's in office, and how else are they supposed to convey to the masses their oppression apart from violently rioting against the very people they share a community with, or they get flown in to destroy these communities. Troll says, people are conflating all of these individuals into one fake monster. These are people from all over the political spectrum. The right spent years talking shit about trans people. Of course, some will rise up. And now, because many people think the death is funny based on a hypocritical level, they're demons and they must be shunned. I've personally been saying that there's a demonic element to the trans cult for a very long time. Actually, I've pretty much always been saying that, but there's definitely a dark element to the spirit that they embody when they revel in the death of a political assassination. It's not even a political assassination. It's more like a cultural assassination. Or one of the things that has emboldened my belief in Jesus Christ is the fact that it always seems like Christianity is targeted. And when Charlie Kirk, I know that he was a potential future president with the way that he was changing the hearts and minds of our youth, but he was a substantial leader in bringing our youth back to Christ. And he was the one that was targeted. So I wouldn't say that it's all of the sudden they're demons. I think that there's been a switch in the minds of the people, or in the minds of the masses on the right, to where the empathy that we had, I mean, there's always that old saying where liberals or conservatives believe that liberals are naive, and liberals believe that conservatives are evil. Well, now we're getting to the point where both sides believe that the other side is evil, but only one is rooted in something resembling reality. I mean, the left has convinced its cohorts that, only 2 weeks to slow the spread. I know Trump was a big part of that, so I don't need to get into that. That was a big mistake. That men can be women, that women can be men, that words are violence, but violence against the words is not violence. I mean, these people, they live in a very twisted reality. They believe that it's a woman's right to abort their child, and that a fetus doesn't mean a human. That it's perfectly okay if it's going to make your life more convenient. Then it's okay to extinguish the life of your child. I mean, there's so many elements to this that are demonic that it's not a sudden. It's not a sudden realization that they're demons. It is more of an awakening, or stopping giving the benefit of the doubt to these people, and instead of attributing naivety to them, now it's gotten to the point where we have to attribute malice to a lot of these people instead of just attributing naivety. Because if we continuously just say that they're naive and, everybody has a good heart and they don't actually want you to die, well, then they'll continue to be incredibly violent and assassinate and revel in your death. I mean, Charlie Kirk was living the American dream. He built his own company. He didn't go in debt by going to college to figure out how to do it. He did it on his own. He got married. He had kids. He was engaging in the First Amendment by trying to change people's hearts and minds the right way, and fighting it with words. I mean, his choice of a weapon was a microphone. That's how he decided to battle evil. That's how he decided to profess the name of Jesus Christ all around this country. It was a microphone that he chose. And for that, he was killed. So I can't attribute naivety to these people, to at least to the overwhelming majority of people celebrating his death anymore. That it would be naive for me to continue doing that, and for the right wing in general to just continue believing that they still want the best for America and they still want the best for you. We just have different views on how to achieve it. Well, their way on how to achieve it is bend the knee or else. Because when you don't bend the knee, they're justifying it as, this is the consequences. This is what you get for not bending the knee. This is what you get for voting in Donald Trump a second time. This is what you get for inciting all of this nebulous hatred and this harm on all of these people. So I think let's see. Let's watch another clip of Destiny here, and just to see how the left feels.
I mean, Piers, this.
Oh, okay. This is actually a clip of Jack Posobiec, but okay, maybe. Okay, we'll just watch it.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. This type of ideology where you've got someone who's willing to mock Erica, who's been standing strong for her family, for her children, she will never be able to grow old with Charlie. She will never be able to be with them again, have more children, to have grandchildren, to have those memories, to raise them. It's all gone. Every single moment of that future that they had was gone because someone fired a bullet at Charlie Kirk that said, "Hey, fascist, catch." And now you have people celebrating it. And when you ask people
That's
about
not even
it,
the
they
bullet
say,
that was fired.
"Oh,
How are you lying about this?
Shut
even?
up, Destiny.
Holy
Shut
shit!
up.
You're so
Shut
shameless,
up.
dude. Oh my god! You're not even inside the right bullet. You're such a disgusting
Piers.
piece of shit. Holy fuck!
What a
Here's-
pedantic
Are we-
point. What a
are
It's
we
not
even gonna do
pedantic.
this?
The guy's a fucking professional
It's total
liar.
pedantry.
He's
It's
epic
total
and base.
pedantry. Total
This guy
pedantry.
probably.
I
I would like to let
Jesus.
Jack. I would like to let Jack finish his point, please.
Yeah,
and
it's just
and
rant
they'll
here,
claim there's no leftist connection. They'll claim there's no there and then go so far as to lie and say there's some kind of Christian conservative connection when you could see the writing on the bullet casings. And so these are very common symbols associated, whatever. The point is, right, it should be very, very clear. Are we connected with our humanity or are we not?
It seems that there's a substantial portion of the left that is not. connected with their humanity, because they don't believe that the right deserves any recognition for human rights. They only think that it's their way, or they should burn everything down, and they'll be justified doing it because you are a bad person, because you didn't listen to what they said. You didn't go along with what they did. And so how are we to battle this from here on out? How are we to pick up the mantle of Charlie Kirk and move forward trying to create peace and cohesion with people that will revel in your death? And I think that our side, the left, or excuse me, the right side, is battling with that right now. Because we know that once it's time to go scorched earth, once it's time to lock these people up, to shut these people down, that you're obviously going to get more resistance. That there will be more assassination attempts, there will be more violence, and they will feel more justified because you are trying to put a stop to it. And I think the Trump administration is currently going through this because they haven't labeled Antifa a domestic terrorist organization. And they've been really odd about releasing the details of this shooter. And of course, even with being on X, having the free speech that we have, and we're the media now, the big players still have a knack to overtake this space first. They'll still put out that Charlie Kirk was assassinated by a fellow conservative, or by a young white male raised in a Christian Republican household. This is the narrative that they're trying to paint, and that that he was a groyper and loved Nick Fuentes. He was one of them, and Charlie Kirk wasn't far right enough. And we know that that's false, but I've preached unity for a long time. I've believed that a lot of these people, if only I could speak to them, if only they could understand the humanity of the conservative talking points, that maybe they wouldn't want to kill us. But I think that there's that faction that has grown to where they don't want to listen, and they will take you out. They will go scorched earth. And if we do not respond in a scorched earth fashion, then we will just continue to lose ground. Because I don't... When I see that stabbing on the train, for when she's just stabbed for being white, I picture my mom. I picture, I picture my wife, and any one of my white relatives that could be targeted just for simply being white, and it's disgusting to me. And then I see Charlie Kirk, and I just gave a speech a couple months ago for hetero awesomeness during Pride Month in Idaho for the Old State Saloon. We held an event in Boise, Idaho, in the middle of Pride Month called Hetero Awesomeness, and we were celebrating God's design for us, God's design for the nuclear family, and it's surprising to me that just for saying something like that, going up on stage and declaring that Christ is our Lord and Savior, and that He has a special, He has a path for you, and He has plans for you, and for the children getting mutilated, and for the children getting experimented on with hormones that it's not good. It's evil. And it blows my mind that what Charlie professed was a lot more tame than than a lot of the things that I've said. And just know that they want to take out, that if you become successful in this sphere, that they want to take you out. Even though I've worked for the last 15 years changing tires of everybody, blue haired or not, I'll go out middle of the night, side of the freeway, and get you back on the road. Don't care about your beliefs. I won't ask for them. I'll just help you get back on the road. And I know that there's millions of Americans that'll do that. And it freaks me out knowing that if I happen to wear a Trump shirt and I get into an accident and the nurses that I get are of this nature, like Destiny, who see Trump supporters as less, would they help me? Would they really go above and beyond to save my life? I don't think they would. Now, I fully believe that they won't now. And it's just a sad state that we're in for this country. It's a sad state. One thing I will say is that people like Destiny, their power comes from our fear. That if conservatives are too scared to speak out, if conservatives are not willing to stand up for what they believe in, and they're scared of being assassinated, or they're scared to be shunned in their society, they're scared to lose their job, then we will lose. That's where they derive their power from, is from fear. And threats of physical violence, which inevitably turn to violence. But when conservatives, or people of Christ, Christians, when they come out and they profess, no matter what the consequences are, if we continue down this path, we will win. I have no doubt in my mind about that. And I'm not going to not give speeches out of fear of assassination. I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing because people like Destiny want me dead. I think that people like that are weak and pathetic weasels, especially Destiny. He is a legitimate cuck that his only sense of power is imposing his political will on others. I mean, he is a tyrant at heart. He wants to rule with an iron fist. He has been a cuck his entire life. He has been ran over. His life has been destroyed because he's never been a good leader, but he is popular. And so the only way that he can exert power is to use the force of the state, or his radical incel following, his trans following that have absolutely lost their mind. They're riddled with SSRIs or opposite sex hormones, and they believe fully that they're being genocided. So he wants to command his army to make us scared. And I tell you, I do not fear meeting my creator. I fear only for what I leave behind if I fail. I hope that I can fulfill the mission that God has laid before me, that he wants me to fulfill. But I do not fear the communists. I do not fear the Marxists. I fear only for the judgment of God if I fail to stand directly against them. And I hope that everybody that listens to this podcast feels the same way. Put your faith in God and go forth. It is not the time to show fear. It is not the time to be afraid. It is the time right now to stand up and be more bold than you ever have been before. Because we know what happens when we give an inch. they'd take a mile. They've done it for years. They've done it for generations. Republicans have always just been absolutely spineless cowards that constantly concede and have been scared of being called racists. They've been scared of being called homophobe or transphobes or whatever it is, instead of just saying that God designed our sexuality to be in marriage, male and female, to procreate, to be fruitful and multiply. That was our design. That's what's normal. That's what we should incentivize. That's what we should promote as good. For some reason, everybody's too scared to say it. This is the moment for our country, for the patriots of this country to stand up and stand against this evil, because it is evil. That dark spirit is really trying to grab the attention of many of the uninitiated, to make it seem popular that conservatives are less human, that they deserve less rights. And we don't. Romans 12:9. Hate what is evil, cling to what is good. There's two aspects to this: hate and cling. There's no way around this. We must hate evil. Now, hate doesn't equivalent violence, but we must hate evil. You're right. In order to love something, you have to hate another. In order to love my children, I have to hate the ones trying to target them, to pervert their minds, to corrupt their innocence. That's what it means in order to love your children. You have to be able to hate the ones trying to destroy or kill them. Same thing for my country. I love my country, and I hate the ones trying to destroy it. God bless, brother. And now do the Jews. What about them, man? I've voiced my opinions on the Jews many times, and in all reality, they're just people. Some are evil, some are good. But it's not bad to notice trends. Yeah, that's the thing that people really need to understand, is that when you put your faith in Christ, whatever group of people decide to go against you, you have to notice them and you have to be able to recognize them. So you said the left was all demons. Demonic spirits, they embody demons. They embody the spirit of demons. Some are possessed by demons. It's noticing the demonic elements of what they promote and what they embody and what they revel in is not surprising, or it's not new. But I've had a lot of conversations with people about the current Jews, the influence that they have on our society, the influence that they've peddled as far as funding these groups that go against America, and it's not good. It's a lot of it's evil, and it's really difficult to track because there's a certain I don't even know how to say the word. You will get ostracized if you say it in the wrong way, and I don't think that it's good to just say all Jews are bad, because I think that goes against my beliefs. There's a lot of people that'll say that that'll speak of Native Americans poorly, or they'll speak of blacks poorly, and I know people from all races that are good, and so it's really difficult for me just to label, like saying that all Jews are bad. I don't believe in it. I'll if you point to a specific group and say they funded this, this, and this, and they all just happen to be Jews, okay, then they're all evil. That's fine. They funded the Antifa riots. They funded all these left wing groups that are promoting porn in schools. They funded these groups that passed laws in Washington State to where now they have to teach sex education in kindergarten. Yes, I will say outright that they are evil, and I don't have any issue with that. So take that for what you will. And I think that more people need to realize that America first means America first, and it doesn't matter what nationality you are. Once you start to go against the American ideals, which most of the organizations have been going against the American ideals for a long time, then we need to start cutting the wheat from the chaff. We really need to start realizing that in order to save this country, it is going to have to be a little bit more strict with who we fund and who we allow to thrive, because we've allowed so many of these organizations that have been actively trying to corrupt the innocence of our youth, that have been mutilating children, that have been spreading porn throughout our society, that have been you just look at let me see if I can find this real quick. I've shown this on stream before, and I know that a lot of you have seen this, but we're going to listen to it anyway. Ready? It's Paul Harvey, 1965.
If I were the devil, if I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree, thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around.
And I got to be honest, this is how I was. I wasn't, my parents didn't explicitly raise me this way, but the social atmosphere that I was surrounded by had this general sentiment that the Bible was written by man and that the stories in the Bible were just stories. But I was raised to believe in something like the Great Spirit, the idea that we were created by a God, not necessarily the Christian God, but this had already infiltrated our society. Like, just going back and remembering when I was a child and discussing these very important topics that could have helped, that actually shaped my youth. And luckily I was able to come around that. But a lot of these ideas were already entrenched in society and were spreading like wildfire. It was already there.
Confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills.
And tell me today that that's not exactly what we're facing, where the many, many cities across this nation, Democrat strongholds, which are the soft on crime policies, which are the policies that are trying to, lower, it's the harm reduction. Let's give them clean needles. Let's give them safe spaces to inject all of their drugs. Let's not criminalize the drug use behavior. Let's open the borders so more drugs flow in, so that all of these people get addicted to opiates and eventually overdose. But no, they're the good guys because they're reducing the harm done. No, all it's done is enabled this behavior. It's incentivized it. It's created more of it, and it is separated. It's separated what man is supposed to be, and it's separated the Americans from striving for what's good, and trying to lower the harm for what's bad, as opposed to eradicating the evil that all the processes, the steps taken in order for that to even become a possibility. Let's leave the border open, become a sanctuary city, create safe spaces to inject drugs, decriminalize theft, decriminalize injecting drugs on the streets. So that way everybody has to walk over and around all these homeless people until one of them finally snaps from the years of drug abuse and the violent tendencies that they will randomly get because of their psychosis that their brain has been put under, where somebody finally gets stabbed on a bus just for being white and murdered in plain sight, and everybody is terrified to do anything because they've already criminalized self-defense or helping others like they did to Daniel Penny. Thank God he's not in prison right now, but my God, everybody is terrified to step up and stop a psychopath because they know that the state is going to come after you. This has been intentional over decades, and we are feeling the ramifications of it now. So back in 1965, Paul Harvey was literally laying this out as to how they will take over the United States, and they have done it line for line. It has been brought under the guise of liberalism. It has been brought under the guise of empathy. It has become suicidal empathy, to now where they have destroyed the idea that the founding of this nation was a great thing for the world, and our youth believe that America is evil and must be destroyed, and anybody trying to conserve it is also evil, and you should revel in their assassinations, and it is their fault for defending this evil Christian nation that was built by white men for white men. They have corrupted the minds of so many that we don't even understand what the American way is. There's so many people out there today that don't even know what has been taken from them. They don't understand that these people, a lot of these young men should be married with children, but they're not. And a lot of these women who have aborted their children don't understand what has been taken from them and what they have voluntarily given up for this idea of being a boss bitch, for this idea of being a strong, independent woman. They haven't been given the opportunity to even know that motherhood is the most beautiful thing that you can do, that being fruitful and multiplying, that you can create a life with another where a husband and wife become one and become fruitful and multiply, and you build a legacy, you get married, and you create a beautiful life with another. They don't even know what they've lost. Our society doesn't even know. That's how good they've been at subverting what America was supposed to be. The idea of what our founding fathers had, saying that the Constitution was written for a moral and religious people. We are no longer Christian. We are no longer moral. Everything is just numbers and stats, and we're measured every 2 years between midterms and the presidency. We're all measured on which demographic will vote for me, and that's the direction as to where our morality is aligned, based on the stats of who's going to vote for who, and who can come across as not threatening, but how do we get more power? That's how our morality has been guided. And yes, the churches were corrupted a long time ago.
If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames.
What did they say in CNN during COVID? That the ratings were gangbusters when they put up the death tolls, right? When they were covering the George Floyd riots, social media, or the mainstream media, had all of the ratings, and they were fanning the flames. Obviously, they were gaslighting everybody, saying that they were mostly peaceful protests. that it was okay to protest as long as you were going for social justice, that COVID wouldn't spread, but then they would have the death counter, COVID, next to it, that if you opened up your business because you're not essential, then you will be punished. And they made sure to punish you. That if you were a good person running your business for your family, your essential business, the business essential to creating wealth for your family, for your life, they deemed you non-essential. They shut you down. They fined you. They did everything in their power to destroy you. But all of their little gremlins, all of the ones that would go out and burn these businesses down, got a free pass. What we learned during the Kyle Rittenhouse trial was that the FBI and all of our letter agencies had drones out recording everything. They saw everybody. They knew these people rioting. They probably had provocateurs in there. They had the media fanning the flames, and they gave a free pass to everybody burning these buildings down, killing people. They all got a free pass. But if you tried to be good and moral and just run your business, to mind your own business, they came after you hard. It's disgraceful. And what do they do now with Charlie Kirk? They slander his name, they justify his assassination, and they blame Trump for not turning down the rhetoric. Even Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, that pathetic weasel. Oh my God, the rhetoric needs to turn down. Dude, they don't even have a spine to stand up to it at all.
If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door.
Now they don't just let emotions run wild, but now your emotions is your identity, and you are not allowed to discriminate against it. There was a girl in up in a school near Seattle, a high school. I had a friend that worked there, and she was telling me about a girl that when she got upset, she identified as a dog. And legally, in Washington State, they couldn't discriminate against her. So they had to, whenever she would get upset, she would start barking like a dog, because that was her identity. That was her gender identity. So now all of these emotions are not only run wild, but it also incentivizes students to utilize them for power against adults. Their way of fighting back against the adults, of rebelling and achieving social currency, is to become as mentally disabled as you possibly can, to be the best victim in order to claim power over others. So not only have they just allowed emotions to run wild, but it's become a social token of power. They've incentivized it so much that it literally gives them power over all the adults in the schools. It's crazy.
Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted.
Socialism. Take from those who have and give to those who wanted. That's literally what socialism is. The entire idea of Marxism is that somebody else has something that I don't because of some reason. They taught black Americans that it was because of slavery hundreds of years ago why you grew up in this impoverished neighborhood, or that Native Americans, they say that you're trapped on this reservation because of the white man. I am living proof that you do not have to be a victim if you're a Native American. I grew up in a white neighborhood and have become successful. And it's not because of racism that held me back. It's because I didn't grow up on the reservation. My brother, who grew up on the reservation, is now in and out of jail, and I haven't spoken to him in 10 years because he had that victim mindset, because he adopted the gangster culture, started getting into drugs and gang violence and all of that crap that is incentivized on the reservations. All because of the white man. Nope.
Until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct.
You remember that infamous picture of Joe Biden standing up there with the red background saying the white Trumpians are the biggest threat to this nation. He blamed us for the fall of this nation, when in all reality it's been at works for a long time, the destruction of this country. It began with the creation of the central banks. It was helped out with no-fault divorce, with the creation of the birth control pill to incentivize sex and polygamy, and to destroy marriage by saying that it is not a man and a woman in a covenant under God, that it is just two people in love. And with no-fault divorce, it didn't mean anything at all. And they incentivized women to leave their men like the snake did with Adam and Eve. They incentivized women to leave their men because they can get benefits from the state. They can force their man to pay child support. They can force their men to give up their homes, to give up their lives, all because they can because the grass is greener on the other side, because all the idea of finding a better man that doesn't support, that doesn't just go to work and not listen to you, and all of these stupid ass reasons that all these women have left their husbands for the last 20, 30 years. The idea, I mean, just growing up and watching all of these stupid movies that incentivize this. You look at like movies like Liar Liar and Santa Claus, and all these movies where the dad is just this buffoon doofus who got left, and the woman is so smart for leaving this piece of shit husband that is obviously stupid and doesn't know how to take care of his kids, but is paying money now. That's how women succeed. Instead of building up a life with a man and a husband, building a legacy by being fruitful and multiplying, they've destroyed all of that. They've destroyed the patriotism in this country by demonizing it, saying that this Christian nationalism is the biggest threat to our democracy. Mrs. Doubtfire, same exact thing. All of these movies growing up that I thought were normal, I look back now in disgust, thinking that it was a moment in society that nobody knew the ramifications. Nobody understood at the time that this was destroying the future generations by incentivizing women to leave their husbands in droves, by it becoming incredibly popular for women to leave their husbands for more child support. Then they could find another man who would also be paying them, and then they'd get money from their exes. All because it became popular and incentivized through the courts. All for that money. And it screwed up. It screwed up millennials and Gen Z, Gen Alpha. I mean, it has ramifications that we don't. 7 generations ahead is when we'll start seeing, how much damage it has actually done if we make it that far.
I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing. Paul Harvey. Good day.
Isn't that just dandy? That's something where I often wonder if I romanticize the past, like the 50s and the 60s in America. If I romanticize it and think that, that I grew up in the wrong time or that it was better back then. I imagine it was, but it just seems that nowadays we don't even understand what we've lost as a nation, and it's going to be a long, hard road in order to get back to what the ideals are, right? To incentivize true marriage and people striving to be better and not just being a leech on society in the state and their fellow neighbors just because you were taught that you were a victim. Americans are the luckiest people in the history of Earth in how that we were born in this country. And it's not like white supremacy is I don't believe white supremacy is a real threat. White people are like 15% of the world, okay? So if you want to talk about the world that we live in today, white people, you're 15%. So I don't think that white supremacy is the issue going forward. I think that it is. I think it's communism, and I think it's this idea that America's bad. So we're gonna have to cut the wheat from the chaff. We're gonna have to separate from the people celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. We are going to have to start putting our foot down and demanding that our country has been going the wrong way for a long time. And if we do nothing now, like the Republicans have been kicking the can down the road, giving inch by inch, then we won't have a country soon. And if these communists ever get back into power, you know that everything will ramp up tenfold. They've already been trying to persecute conservatives for a very long time. Anybody that spoke out, and not even just conservatives, but anybody that spoke out against them. I mean, again, look at 2020, the government lockdowns. If you stood against a state, even if you're very liberal, believing that you just like your business is essential to your life and your family, and you've had this business for 15, 20, 30, 40 years, and in order to stay afloat, you have to keep your doors open. And if people willingly choose to come into your business risking COVID, then so be it. Government didn't allow it. They shut you down no matter what. They want you to own nothing and be happy about it. And all of their useful idiots that are online right now reveling in the death of Charlie Kirk need to face consequences. They need to be deplatformed. They should absolutely be fired from their jobs. If they think that you should be assassinated for your opinions, I think that they should be fired for theirs. It's very simple. But all hope is not lost. We still have a long way to go. We still have lives to lead. Life does go on, and it is more important now than ever to embody the values you wish to see in this world and to not become eternally corrupted and just be out for blood, because they do say vengeance is God's, but you know, we have to have some form of righteous retribution for the people that have been taken by this ideology, this communist Marxist trans ideology that has been just absolutely destroying our country and our youth. So don't give up hope. Embody the values you wish to see in this world. Pray to God for guidance, because believe it or not, God has a mission for you. I don't care if you got 2 followers or 200,000 followers. It is important that you are important. What you do in this life, you never know how far out those ripples are going to go. So make sure that you're embodying the values you wish to see in this world, and that you share the gospel of Jesus Christ far and wide, and that your decisions are intentional. The enemy will get you through convenience, and a lot of the times will prey on your laziness or your complacency or your comfort. Sometimes you have to become uncomfortable in order to grow, and actually that's pretty much the only way you will grow. Be intentional with your actions, pray for guidance, and continue pushing forth, speaking the truth, and shining a light on this evil that is among us, and that is also in your heart, and that, you know, you have to be aware of it, and that's why you have to be intentional with your actions. But I'm sorry that Steve wasn't here, guys. I just, you know, I wanted to go live. I got something special planned for Wednesday, and we actually have a show on Thursday with the redheaded libertarian. That's going to be really cool. It'll be at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's going to be a lot of fun. So it's kind of a special episode. So September 18th, redheaded libertarian, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Texas time. We'll be interviewing her and talking to her about everything. So that'll be really cool. But Wednesday will be a fun episode as well. So thank you guys for joining in tonight. I really appreciate it. God bless you all. God bless America. We will see you on Wednesday. Talk to you later. Peace.